On April 20th, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon disaster changed the lives of millions living near the Gulf of Mexico, as well as the scientists who responded to the crisis. These are some of their stories, intimate portraits of research, innovation, discovery. Welcome, I'm Jim McNamee, editor of Dispatches from the Gulf, a series of documentaries, short videos, and podcasts. Today I'd like to share with you a series of short, first-person accounts featuring what to many may seem like a contradictory idea. When you fail, you're doing good science. Though what you're about to hear may at first seem illogical, in the end, I think you'll understand why failure can often better prepare scientists for discovery and success. We begin this podcast with Rafael Montoya, a research scientist in the Atmospheric Sciences Department at Texas A&M University.
I wanted to be a scientist since I was probably 3 or 5 years old, and I was always interested in understanding how things worked, and I used to draw blueprints of, engines and things like that. At some point, I wanted to be a rocket scientist. I was born in Italy. I went to school in Italy. I did actually my PhD in Italy in theoretical chemistry. I think when you fail, you're doing good sciences. I think you can have good science if you don't have good failures. And the more you fail, the more you learn. If you wouldn't fail, you wouldn't learn anything. So I think this is something very important that I think, especially the young generations, need to be aware of.
Piers Chapman is a professor at Texas A&M University's Department of Oceanography.
I started out my career wanting to be a marine biologist, having watched movies by Jacques Cousteau and Hans and Lottie Haas when I was a small kid back in the UK. But when I got to college, I found that chemistry seemed to be a lot easier than biology was, and so I went into chemistry and then managed to stay in the marine field and do marine chemistry. Well, I think that the first moment of disappointment was when I realized that my PhD wasn't turning out the way I'd hoped it was going to, and that research wasn't full of these eureka moments when you're going to suddenly win the Nobel Prize. But certainly learning through disappointment is one of the main ways in which scientists improve. Nothing really ever works out quite the way you anticipate, and so you have to make the best of what you have, and if you're lucky, there's something serendipitous about what you do, and this can lead you down different paths to where you thought you were going to go, and in many cases these are more interesting than the paths you thought you were starting out on. Be prepared for everything to take a lot longer than you think it's going to take. You have to be patient, you have to have persistence.
We end our podcast with Steve DiMarco, who is a professor of oceanography at Texas A&M University.
I got interested in science at a very, very young age. I was less than 10, absolutely less than 10. I was always interested in science and mathematics, and I went to college for physics, and then I went to graduate school as a physicist. It was after that, though, that I found, my true calling, which was oceanography. And in 1993, I made the switch from physics to the observational science of oceanography, and I can't imagine anyone not wanting to be an oceanographer. It is a very, very fun profession. Science is a full contact sport, and it's not for the faint of heart. So I would say on a daily basis, you have eureka moments and you have profound, what did I just do moments. That comes with the territory. So what you try to do is balance it so that you have more of the eureka moments than you do the failure. But failure comes, and it comes every day. And why? Because I think if you're not pushing the limits of knowledge, then you're not doing your job. So by pushing the limits, you find where the edges are. That's what I try to do in my work, in my science. And so you have to fail a lot in order to succeed.
Today, thousands of scientists, oceanographers, chemists, engineers, biologists are all working together to develop newer and better ways to understand and ease the impact of oil spills. To learn more about their work, visit our webpage at dispatchesfromthegulf.com. Funding for this podcast was provided by a grant by the Gulf of Mexico Research Initiative. And thanks for listening.